You worked hard your entire life, stayed honest, loyal, disciplined, yet illness strikes and your body no longer obeys you. The strength you relied on is gone. You show up at work only to find your position is gone. Your boss doesn't even look at you as they hand you the termination papers. You rush home hoping for comfort, only to discover your partner has left, taking with them the life you built together. Bills pile up, the bank takes your house, friends seem distant, strangers indifferent. Soon the streets are no longer a place you pass through, they are your home. Cold, unforgiving, and silent. And as you lie awake under the stars, shivering, staring at a sky that feels as indifferent as the world you once believed would reward your effort, a single thought creeps in. This isn't fair. We were told that life would reward the good, that if you worked hard, played fair, and treated others right, the universe would somehow return the favor. But one day, the illusion cracks. You see people cheat and win. You see kindness ignored. You see effort go unnoticed. And something inside you whispers the truth you've avoided your entire life. Life was never meant to be fair. Epicurus saw this thousands of years ago. While others prayed for justice from the gods, he quietly withdrew from the noise and said, "Do not ask why the world is cruel. Ask instead why you expected it to be kind, because the belief in fairness is a child's belief. It comforts us when we're innocent, like thinking every story will have a happy ending. But adulthood tears that script apart. The world doesn't care how good you are. It doesn't owe you balance or explanation. It simply is. Think about the moments that broke you. Maybe you watched someone less capable rise while you stayed behind. Maybe you gave your all to someone who forgot you the moment you fell. Those moments feel cruel, right? Because you were still negotiating with life, expecting a transaction it never agreed to. Epicurus would tell you, you suffer because you expect fairness in a world that promised chaos. That realization hurts. But it's also the beginning of wisdom, because the day you see life as it truly is, not as it should be, is the day you start to grow. Fairness, as most imagine it, is just a comfort blanket for the powerless, the belief that there's a hidden order keeping score. But reality keeps no score. It rewards the prepared, not the deserving. It favors the disciplined, not always the good. And once you understand that, you stop waiting for life to apologize. This is what Epicurus meant when he taught that peace begins with perception. The universe isn't against you. It's just indifferent, and that indifference, once accepted, becomes strangely liberating. You no longer waste energy demanding fairness. You start using that energy to adapt, to build, to grow in silence. Because when you stop expecting the world to be fair, you stop being disappointed by it. You begin to see people not as villains or heroes, but as flawed beings trapped in their own hunger, fear, and luck. You begin to understand that pain isn't punishment. It's simply life happening without your permission. And in that understanding, a quiet shift occurs. You stop asking, "Why me?" and begin asking, "What now?" That's where the journey to peace begins. Not when life becomes fair, but when you stop needing it to be. The next time you feel wronged by fate, remember this. Fairness is a story we tell to comfort the weak. Truth is what frees the strong. The day you accept that, something inside you grows older, calmer, and far more dangerous. Most people don't suffer because life is unfair. They suffer because they keep comparing their unfair share to someone else's. You scroll through social media and see a man your age driving a car that costs more than your salary. A woman who once doubted you now lives in a better house, a better city, a better version of the life you imagined for yourself. You tell yourself it's unfair because you've worked hard, because you've been kind, because you've done everything right. But deep down, the pain isn't from injustice. It's from comparison. Epicurus would say, "Do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not." He understood something we still struggle to accept: that envy is a form of self-inflicted torture. It's the endless measuring of your life against illusions that were never meant to be yours. Think about the times you felt small next to someone else's success. Maybe your friend started a business that took off while yours failed. Maybe your sibling seemed to have the perfect relationship while you were left picking up the pieces of a broken one. Or maybe you just watched people who seemed perpetually lucky, smiling, traveling, living, while your world felt stuck in slow motion. That quiet jealousy, that sense of, "Why not me?" it's poison disguised as logic. Because comparison always ends in loss. Either you feel inferior or you inflate yourself with false pride. Both are traps. Epicurus taught that peace begins where unnecessary desires end. The modern world has flipped this completely. It convinces you that peace will come when you have more. More money, more beauty, more validation. But every time you reach a milestone, someone else's shadow looms taller. You never win, because you're not even in your own race anymore. You're running in circles, chasing ghosts of people who don't even know they're being compared to you. There's a man working night shifts right now, wondering why his college friend just bought a house. There's a woman staring at her reflection, asking why someone else's skin, hair, or smile seems to earn more love. There's 1,000 silent comparisons happening every minute, each one stealing peace from a person who already has enough to live well. The truth, the world has never been fair. But comparison makes it unbearable. Epicurus didn't teach withdrawal from pleasure. He taught mastery of it. He wanted us to enjoy what is ours, not suffer for what isn't. To eat simply and feel rich. To love deeply without needing to be envied. To look at another person's life and say, "Good for them," without whispering, "Bad for me." When you stop comparing, you begin to see your life for what it actually is. A small, imperfect, beautiful story filled with chances for gratitude. The unfairness doesn't vanish, but it stops owning you. Because maybe life isn't fair, but peace was never about fairness. It was about freedom. Freedom from needing the world to match your imagination. The moment you stop keeping score, you finally start living. There comes a moment when the anger fades, when the bitterness that once burned in your chest loosens its grip, leaving a quiet, almost unbearable stillness. This is not surrender. It is something far stronger, acceptance. You realize that life will not bend to your sense of justice. The unfairness you resisted, resented, and feared will continue to exist. That promotion you were denied, the love that left, the opportunities stolen by chance or corruption, none of it needs to make sense. And when you stop fighting it, an unexpected calm settles in. Imagine a man who spent years climbing the corporate ladder, only to be replaced by someone he trained. At first, he rages at the injustice, counting every unfair slight. Then he stops. He stops asking why it happened, stops needing the world to apologize. And in that pause, he notices something he never had before: freedom. He can now rebuild, focus, and live without carrying the heavy burden of resentment. Epicurus taught that true happiness comes not from wealth, status, or recognition, but from ataraxia, a state of inner tranquility. When you accept life's indifference, you no longer waste energy on the uncontrollable. You stop demanding that the universe repay you for every act of kindness or every hour of toil. Peace begins where expectation ends. A woman who once lost everything, a partner, her home, her sense of self, sits quietly on a park bench. She watches children play, hears the laughter of strangers, feels the sun warm her face. In this moment, she discovers that the world has not stopped her. She simply needed to stop fighting it. Acceptance does not erase pain. It transforms it. It becomes a teacher, a guide, a quiet strength that reshapes the way she moves through life. Acceptance is not weakness, it is clarity. It is understanding that control is an illusion, and that the only power you truly have is over your own mind and heart. You may still face storms, still endure losses, but the storm no longer dictates your peace. You can stand, grounded, unmoved, because the chaos outside no longer controls the chaos within. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop resisting, you begin to grow. The moment you stop pleading for fairness, you start building resilience. The moment you stop blaming life, you start understanding yourself. This is the calm Epicurus revealed. A quiet power hidden in the realization that life will never be fair, yet it can still be beautiful. That serenity is yours the instant you accept the truth. Before we continue, if you've been following this journey and it's starting to hit home, consider subscribing, not for empty promises, but for a perspective most people won't dare to face. Because growth comes from seeing life as it is, not as we wish it to be. Now let's keep going. Once you stop expecting fairness, something remarkable happens. You begin to rebuild, not on illusions, not on comparisons, not on the fragile idea that the universe owes you justice, but on what is actually within your power. You start focusing on purpose, on character, on creating meaning where none was handed to you. Imagine a man who lost everything to chance. At first, he mourned the unfairness, hated the world, and envied those who seemed luckier. But when he finally stopped fighting what he could not change, he noticed something he had ignored before: his own resilience, his skills, his capacity to shape small parts of his life. He began helping others, creating routines, setting small victories for himself. Life was still harsh, but now he had agency. A woman who faced betrayal and loss took a similar path. She could no longer control the people around her or the hand she had been dealt, but she could control her mornings, her learning, her habits, and her thoughts. She started writing, volunteering, connecting with people who valued her. Slowly, the void left by unfairness was replaced by something far stronger: self-respect, competence, and a quiet, unshakable purpose. Epicurus showed that happiness doesn't come from fairness, but from understanding what truly matters. Friendship, simple pleasures, freedom from unnecessary desires. These are not gifts from the world. They are choices you make repeatedly, despite life's indifference. The cruel truth you once resisted becomes a tool. Every loss, every betrayal, every failure is now a teacher. And the power lies in what you do with it. You are no longer a victim of circumstance. You are a creator of meaning, building something that no injustice can take away. Most people continue measuring life by fairness, comparing themselves endlessly, wasting energy resenting what they lack. But those who choose differently, those who rebuild meaning on the foundation of reality, they live differently. They smile quietly, work intentionally, love wisely, and sleep with the calm that comes from knowing they are in charge of their inner world. So, ask yourself, if life isn't fair, what will you build anyway? How will you turn your losses into fuel, your pain into purpose, and your indifference into freedom? When fairness dies, gratitude is born, and with it, real strength. By now, you've seen the path, the shock of unfairness, the poison of comparison, the quiet calm of acceptance, and the rebuilding of meaning in a world that owes you nothing. And now comes the final step, the liberation of letting go. Letting go does not mean giving up. It does not mean surrendering to life's chaos. It means releasing the weight of expectation, the endless need for life to be fair, and the desire for validation from a world that cannot provide it. It is in this release that freedom is born. Imagine a man who once spent decades blaming everyone for his misfortune. He carried bitterness like a shield, believing that fairness, if it arrived, would justify his suffering. One day, he stops. He stops demanding, stops pleading, stops measuring himself against the impossible standards of others, and in that moment, he feels lighter. The anger that once consumed him becomes energy he can use to live fully. A woman who lost everything, her home, her partner, her career, discovers the same truth. She stops asking, "Why me?" and starts asking, "What now?" She learns that life cannot steal her peace unless she allows it. By letting go of resentment and expectation, she opens herself to possibility, creativity, and joy she never imagined she could feel again. Epicurus's wisdom shines here. Happiness is not found in justice, reward, or balance. It is found in inner harmony, in freedom from the chains of desire for what you cannot control. You cannot make life fair, but you can make life yours. And when you finally do, something remarkable happens. You become unshakable. The liberation of letting go transforms suffering into insight, loss into growth, and chaos into clarity. You begin to move through the world with confidence, not arrogance, with compassion, not pity, and with courage, not fear. The unfairness around you no longer dictates your mood, your choices, or your self-worth. You are free, not because life changed, but because you did. This is the ultimate growth Epicurus revealed. The day you admit that life is unfair, stop resisting it, and finally let go, you awaken to your own power. You awaken to a life lived on your terms, a mind untethered, a soul at peace. You will still face storms. You will still encounter loss. But now, you are no longer a victim. You are a witness, a creator, a survivor, someone who has learned the greatest truth of all. The world owes you nothing, and in that truth lies everything. The day you let go, you are finally free.